by offering different sacrifices to them. Not the supreme Krishna, but demigod, the agent of Krishna, the representatives of Krishna. And they are materially placed for material transaction, for managing or maintaining the material world. Those who are assisting Krishna in this way, they are called demigods. Some yogis worship them with different sacrifices. And some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Divine. But there are others also who perform similar sacrifices in the worship of demigods, and still others who sacrifice to the Supreme Divine or the impersonal future of the Supreme Lord by sacrifice or different rituals performed to please the demigods. So there are different kinds of sacrifices in terms of different categories. So different categories of sacrifice by different types of performance only superficially demark varieties of sacrifice. Partially, sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as 𝐤𝐤𝐬. All the different types of 𝐤𝐤𝐬 or sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, namely sacrifice of worldly possessions and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. This Prabhupada has grouped the different varieties of sacrifices into two. One, the sacrifice, a pursuit of transcendental knowledge. And the sacrifice which is within the condition shows interest in gratifying the senses. They are different, but Prabhupada put them here into one. The varieties of sense gratification for people who are not searching for the absolute knowledge. For something else, either it will go to heavenly planet, or it is for different positions in the material world. Prabhupada put all of them here. He considered all of them to be material. What are material? Because if one goes to heaven, what is the purpose of going to heaven? It is simply to expand our sense of Krishna. If one does charity, which is not directly Krishna, but is doing charity to conditioned souls, what is that? It is simply to expand our sense of Krishna. Many people are doing sacrifice, a lot of charities. What is the idea behind that? They are simply using conditioned souls to get promotion to heavenly planet for better sanctification. Therefore, Prabhupada considered all these things to be material. The only sacrifice recommended or approved is that of pursuing transcendental knowledge. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possessions for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, while others who want some temporary material happiness sacrifice their material possessions to satisfy demigods, such as Indra, the sun god, etc. The material. And others who are impersonalists sacrifice their identity by merging into the existence of the impersonal. So they are all sacrifice. But not all of them are bona fide sacrifice, because they will not promote us to the spiritual world. The demigods are powerful living entities appointed by the Supreme Lord for the maintenance and supervision of material functions, like the heating, Agni, watering, Varuna, and lighting of the universe, Surya. Those who are interested in material benefit worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals. They are called 𝐵𝑎₀ or believers in many gods. Someone told me, in your Krishna temple, you worship only Krishna. But in our temple, we have palace of gods. We have palace, not just a room. We have palace. So you know what you're telling me is that we are better than, because we are many, and you are just one. So if you come to our temple, you see everyone there. All of them are gods. So all the demigods, and they are all one. What do you call that? Pantheism. Anything which represents God is God. So we have better accommodation for everyone to be there. They're all God. Whichever one you like, take. Like a supermarket. You go to a supermarket. You have a lot of choices to make. And everything is there. So you go and select your choice. So we also have a supermarket for gods. You come to our palace, our supermarket. Select any god you want and you worship. You go to the same place. That's illusion, that's signal. 𝐵𝑎₀. This is how Prabhupada called them here. Bahu means many. 𝐸𝐴𝑠𝑤𝑎𝑟. Those who propound the philosophy that we have palace of God and all are gods. They believe in many gods. But others who worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth and regard the forms of the demigods as temporary, sacrifice their individual selves in the supreme fire, and thus end their individual existence by merging into the existence of the supreme. Actually, there's nothing like that. That is a belief. That is a believing. Properly using the word. Properly is using the word. They end their individual existence by merging into the existence of the Supreme. There's nothing like they end their existence. That is what they think. That is the ignorance. It's the foolishness. Because that does not exist, that the soul can be extinct. It doesn't exist. The soul is described in Bhagavad Gita as Sanatan. And what? Krishna Amsa. Mama Bamsa Jiva Doke, Jiva Loke, Sanatana, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana, Jiva Bhuta, and the Jiva Loke. In the material world, the living entities in the material world, conditions in the material world, what is our nature? Sanatana. Why? Mam Amsa, we are Krishna's eternal part. and prosperous. So there's nothing like ending. The desire to end a resistance is delusion. That is material. They think like that. They think like that. They think like that because they don't know. And it is due to frustration. Frustration is not perfection of life. It is anxiety, hopelessness, when one does not meet with what we are expecting. So all the varieties of sacrifice it is going on all over the. So merging into spiritual existence of Krishna, it is spiritual suicide. And one will fall off from there. And in due course of time, one will fall off from there. Because as far as the material world is concerned, there's nothing which is permanent. Nothing. See, even about merging into Brahmajyoti is not permanent. Why? The nature of the soul is that of being active. So even if you are going, even if you go there to go and sleep, you stay in one place, because the soul is Cheta and Nitya, eternally conscious, we are going to react one day. A person sleeps for some time, you wake up one time at a time. You're going to wake up. So even though you may go there and sleep in Brahmajyoti for some time, after you do some time, you're going to wake up. We'll wake up from the sleep. And if you wake up from sleep, what is the next activity? Activity means what? We'll fall down back again here to continue activity because there's no varieties there. So we cannot stay there. And the soul is nourished by varieties. So you come back here. Therefore, Krishna is explaining the different variety of sacrifices for us to understand which of them is of absolute nature that is recommended for us to do, that when it is done, we will have the ultimate benefit. Because it's not everything we do that it brings us the ultimate benefit. Not everything, especially conditioned souls in the conditioned world. It is not everything we do that is of absolute nature. So some personally sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme. A waste of time. In other words, the fruitful workers sacrifice their material possessions for material enjoyment, whereas the impersonal sacrifice his material designations with a view of merging into the existence of the Supreme. So we're looking at the varieties of sacrifices and the result. Here Krishna mentioned some yogis, they sacrifice their life, for pleasing different varieties of demigods. And some offer fires, sacrificing the fire of the Supreme Command for the intention of merging into. Even to go to Brahmajyoti, we need to sacrifice our sense gratification. Although we have to sacrifice our sense gratification, we should know what is the best way to make the sacrifice that we are going to get the ultimate result. So different levels of sacrifices is being described. Some is to demigods. It is temporal. Sacrifice their individual selves in the supreme fire, and those end their existence. So go to Brahmajyoti. Some impersonally sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation. It's a sacrifice. In wasting their time studying the scriptures. They're busy studying the scriptures. What is inside the scripture? What is inside the scripture? There is no end. A process of speculation does not have an end. There's no conclusion. Therefore, they continue to speculate and speculate and speculate. there's no result other than to merge into the majority. In other words, the fruity workers, what is their sacrifice? The fruity workers sacrifice their material position for material enjoyment, whereas the impersonalist sacrifices his material designations with a view of merging into the existence of the Supreme. For the impersonalist, the fire altar of sacrifice is the Supreme Dharma, and the offering is the self being consumed by the fire of the man. It means they merge into that. The Krishna conscious person, like Arjuna, however, sacrifices everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. Does all his material as well as his own self. Everything is sacrificed for Krishna. Though he is first-class yogi, but he does not lose his individual existence. We have mentioned many times that it is foolishness. It is foolishness for any person to think that, for example, as a condition, so we are conditioned, but we have our senses, we are gratifying it. And someone is telling me that all this thing we are doing is illusion. You transcend these illusory things and become nothing. There's no sense for you to enjoy. Is that intelligent? I would tell that person to get out. Because in my condition stage, I have a lot of these gratificatory accessories to gratify the senses. And it is pleasing to mature stage of life. It is pleasing. How can someone tell me that now you should become transcendental and you don't have anything to enjoy? Just go and sleep in one place. How is that enjoyment? That's foolishness. So properly ending, the devotee will sacrifice everything. We sacrifice everything, all our positions, even the self, to not to become zero, or to attain the supreme passage of Godhead by maintaining our individuality, because it is what this individual self that they're going to relate with the supreme individual person for enjoyment. (26) Sutra dinindriyani anye samya magni shu juhati sabda din visayan anya indrijakni shu juhati. Some the unadulterated brahmachari sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated household, sacrifice the object of the senses in the fire of the senses. Yes. The unadulterated brahmacharis, what is a sacrifice? Hearing about the Supreme. In the fire of mental control, yes, they regulate the senses, they regulate the senses. That gives also the strength to hear attentively, to hear more. And then the qualifications say regulated household. What is this? What is the sacrifice? Sacrifice the object to the sense in the fire of the senses. That means the senses are engaged in the process of sanctification. The members of the 4 divisions of the human life, namely the brahmachari, the grihastha, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasi, are all meant to become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. That is the purpose of varnashram, varna and ashram. A perfectly organized system whereby everybody make progress in any of our ashrama and also in our varna. And the duty of the king is to facilitate this. Krishna is a Brahmana who was sent by Queen Devi to him. Is your king protecting you so much so that you have peace to practice your Brahminical duties? That king must be considered fortunate if he is doing that. But today we don't have that. We don't have that. So we don't have kings. Just like that, we don't also have other ashrams and varanas. So human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like the animals. The four orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. The brahmachari is a student under the care of a bona fide spiritual master. Control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. The brahmachari hears only word concerning Krishna consciousness. Hearing is the basic principle for understanding, and therefore the pure brahmachari engages fully in hearing, Harinama no Kirtan, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrains himself from the vibrations of material sound, and his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That is the sacrifice of which. Hearing. Why hearing? Because by hearing we become fixed in Krishna and avoid all unnecessary things that will keep us in material existence. So hearing, that's the beginning. That's a sacrifice. So we should be interested to hear. All devotees of Krishna should be interested in hearing. All devotees. In any ashram, in any varna, we should have the interest, we develop the interest to hear. If we don't hear, we're not going to make it. So the greatest sacrifice for all the varnas and ashrams, especially for this time, is the sacrifice to hear. To hear the chanting the chanting we're doing. And we have the object of hearing, Krishna. Next, properly talking about the next ashram. Similarly, the householders who have some license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society. But a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratification. This is the sacrifice. Marriage on the principles of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society because that is the way for restricted sex life. This restricted, unattached sex life is also a kind of yajna because the restricted householder sacrifices a general tendency towards sense gratification for higher transcendental life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, in verse 25, it's mentioned that the impersonalist who is trying to sacrifice his identity to merge in the Brahma Jyoti, he is acting wrongly. He is acting wrongly. But when we look at the purport in verse 24, in the second line, it is mentioned there are various activities in Krishna consciousness, and all of them will be described in the following verses. So how can we understand this line from verse 24 with an explanation in verse 25? Because over there we see that the sacrifice is not proper, that is impersonalist. And 24 it is mentioned that it is a Krishna consciousness activity. How we can understand it?
Impersonalism is not Krishna conscious activity. It is not. It's a sacrifice, but it's not a Krishna conscious sacrifice. Because what is the pleasure for Krishna here? They have no service for Krishna. A devotee is called a devotee because what? We are devoted to serving Krishna. That's the meaning of devotee. We have dedicated everything to Krishna. An impersonal is not called a devotee because the activity is not for Krishna's pleasure. It is for his own self. He is concerned about his own salvation, not about Krishna. So you don't see pure devotee praying for liberation. Even when Krishna offered it, they reject. I don't want. We don't want. Why? There is no service for Krishna. So they are not devotees. It is Jagya. They're sacrificing the basal sanctification for something which is considered transcendental. It is considered transcendental because they have transcended the three modes of material nature, but they're not perfection of life. Because of the contamination that goes with the wrong mentality. There's too much suffering, and there are all varieties. But the varieties are bringing anxiety. This is Buddha philosophy. Varieties bring anxiety. Don't make everything one. And then at the end, you make everything zero. It's for frustration. So they're not described as devotees. Although it's a sacrifice because they're sacrificing something. They're giving up something for merging into Brahma. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, Guru Maharaj. So we can take question from other devotees and then I'll come back again, Guru Maharaj.
Yes, Sanjay Prabhu.
Please accept my obeisances.
Thank you.
Maybe you can speak more about spiritual enjoyment in relationship with Krishna, because it's not so easy to fully appreciate what is the spiritual dimension. We're so much covered by the material mind, and we again and again lose that higher focus. So again and again we think that there's something to get in this material world. And yeah, what is the spiritual world like? Maybe you can speak more about it to make us more eager to fully take to it.
All right. The Brahma gave us a description of the spiritual world. Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa vriksha laksabhuti shushura biravi palayantam Lakshmi sahasra sata sambrama sivyamanam govinamadi purusham pramaham payami. So here the Brahma said, Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa vriksha. The spiritual world is made of Chintamani stone. What is that? Spiritual stone. What is that? What do we mean by Chintamani? What is it? What are we talking? Spiritual stone, Chintamani. Chintamani. What do we mean? A situation environment where everything remains eternally fresh. Nothing goes down in quality, but everything goes up in quality. That's the idea. That is just to get us understand what the spiritual world means. Chintamani. It means what? Nothing goes down in quality. We don't have that experience in material world. Everything keeps increasing in quality. It means what? If you take a mango fruit now, you take the next one is sweeter than the one you already taken. You take the third one is sweeter than the two previous ones. You take the fourth one is superior to the previous three that we have taken. That is spiritual world. Nothing goes down in quality. There is nothing like deterioration. in the spiritual world. Nothing. That does not exist there. What does exist is constant improvement in quality, in taste. The whole environment is so charged with this atmosphere. The whole environment. So, and there, 𝐁𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐭𝐢 Swami described also in his book. I will just let me see. Vaikuntha. Yes, Vaikuntha. In a special way. It is Vaikuntha. The residents of Vaikuntha have individual bodily forms. Individual bodily forms. The body itself is very, very sweet and attractive. It is charming. How Krishna, Damodara described Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. It is very difficult to remove your eye away from the body of Chaitanya, the body of Krishna, or Krishna's friends. That is spiritual world. We don't have that situation in material world. Everything here is ugly. Ugly. In the 8th canto of Bhagavatam, 𝐁𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐬 Goswami mentioned, not spiritual, material. In the material world here, the denizens of heaven, when they come to Trikut, to take a bath in the lake, their aroma enter inside the water and make the water is aromatic. And that aroma goes for kilometers. That is just here in the material world. If you multiply that quality of that aroma, which is coming from someone's body in the material world here, if you don't take a bath in a day, how does it look like? For a decent person, not a very raw, usually, for a decent person, if you don't take a bath, you don't brush your mouth for a day, how does it look like? Sanjay Prabhu, how does it look like? If you don't take a bath for one day, just one day.
There is deterioration.
Very, very. Yeah, why would not like to sleep with you? But that is not in the spiritual world. That is not. Here, I'm just trying to understand the material world itself before we talk about the Koloka. That someone's body, so aromatic, that when you take a bath in the lake, it will enter inside the water and perfume the whole place. That aroma goes long distance, attracting whoever comes in that environment. If you are attracted to come there, how did the Santanu who got married to his second wife? Santanu, how did he get married to his second wife? It is the aroma of her body that attracted her. I started searching. Where is this coming from? Until he got to see the girl, and immediately upon seeing the girl, become my wife. There's no introduction, there's nothing, just the aroma alone, not even behavior. The girl had never even said anything. Become my wife. Now, become my wife. That is material. That is just material. When you multiply that, heaven, when you multiply it to thousands, that is, you're talking about the Brahma's abode. Then when Brahma situation, when you multiply that into millions, then you have millions and millions, then you're talking about billions, you're talking about Vaikuntha. And when you have no number to multiply, that is Goloka. That is where all of us belong. And that is where we are all trying to go. So it's not an easy place. Therefore, we should not worry about the difficulties that we are experiencing to go there. We shouldn't worry about that. Don't look about that. Don't look at the goal. What is waiting for us Don't look at that alone. Will give us the strength, the enthusiasm to get absorbed in our Krishna conscious practice. Then, so that is just the body, but these are not forms of material illusion, as Yudhishthira Maharaj said in a question to Narada Muni. The bodies of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are completely spiritual, having nothing to do with the material body, senses, or life itself. Bhagavatam 7.135. The Vaikuntha vasis are transcendental, and so also are their external opulences. Each resident has more power and wealth than are available in millions of material universes and covering shells. These opulences, which are Vaikuntha resident achieve without effort and without limitation, are spiritual, eternal, and absolutely real. They are expansions of the Supreme Lord's divine energy, and so they are all infinitely desirable. They are infinitely desirable and full of variety. Logical and scriptural evidence of this fact will be presented later in the Bhagavatam. Does it make sense?
Yes, though if it is all right, I would like to follow one question more.
Yes.
That on the one hand, the spiritual dimension is very attractive for us in terms of we can enjoy there, but the crux seems to be that in order to get there, we have to give up all ideas of enjoyment, and our only purpose is to serve. So how is it that the less we want our enjoyment, the more we get? Is it like this, or is it appropriate to think that I will have a better situation for myself by going to the spiritual world? Yeah, how is it?
It is not that we should give up enjoyment. That is not the idea. The idea is not to give up enjoyment. That is not, because we cannot do that. We cannot give up enjoyment because it's part of life. The idea is to give up the false identification, the false idea of what we think enjoyment is. That is what we should give up, because it is not real enjoyment. The real enjoyment is on the spiritual platform. It's on the soul platform. It is not in the material world. It's not with the senses, but with the soul. So yes, it is right for us to think that, yeah, what I'm having here, it is actually not, it is illusion. The real enjoyment is there. So let me work hard to go there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hare
Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you, Maharaj? Nice to hear that. Okay, Maharaj, my question is that since we are working in the material life, the most of our time goes in the material, in working and all that. So is this material, and we are also practicing the spiritual life. So is this material is the sense gratification, or is it part of the spiritual life?
Material?
So I'm saying that my question is that we are working, since we are working in this material world, and we have to work for our maintenance and all that. And we are also practicing side by side. We are also practicing spiritual life. So this the working for this whatever the number of hours is basically is a sense gratification, or is just a part of the spiritual life?
We already discussed that in text 24.
Yes.
All here we call it material world, because our activities are conditioning. They're all conditioned activities, so they're not pure. But here, Krishna and our Acharya, they're saying that whatever we do here, although it is not spiritual, it's material. But if he said we can turn them into spiritual life by engaging all in Krishna. We were giving an example. There's cooking everywhere in the world. right? But when we take, and the ingredient is also part of the material world. But when these ingredients are turned into Krishna service, so we are using microphone, we are using the computer, we are using cell phones, we are cooking, we're using cars, so everything. So all these things, when they are used in Christian service, they become transformed. So we use ingredient to cook, they are material ingredient. We use them to cook and offer to Krishna, it becomes transformed. So they cook the ingredients, the cooking itself, and the consumers, everything becomes Krishna conscious activities, because they are all connected with Krishna. And because they are connected with Krishna, we are getting liberated from our conditioned life. So the chance for us to get free from being material is to get whatever stage we are, to get connected with Krishna, and then everything will undergo the process of transformation. So we are on the process of transformation. Although we are on the process of transformation, but because we are connected with the transcendent, we are already considered transcendental. That is where transcendent comes in. So we don't have to be like the Mayavadis or the impersonalists. No, everything is Maya, don't do anything, just sit in one place. So you don't get contaminated. But how are you going to be free? How? How are you going to be free if you don't do anything? Because everything is Maya. How are you going to get anything? How are you going to get free from Maya? By engaging Maya in Krishna, then we can become free. Not by sitting idle. And we can even do that anyway, because the soul is conscious. All right?
Yes, Maharaj. Just one small clarification I need. Just you mentioned about that when there is no Brahma Jyoti light and the dark spot is called the material world. So means
a small portion of Brahma Jyoti, a small portion of Brahma Jyoti is called material world.
Okay. That's one of the clarification. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Imanka Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Anurad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Thank you.
Yes. Guru Maharaj, I have a question from other class actually. Can I ask? You give some other class.
Okay. Okay. And ask.
Okay. Yes. Maharaj, in the class where you gave the class, you take the scream the name of the Lord and die. In that,
yes,
there was a line that the more you try to solve material problems, it will increase. It was like that. A line was there. So, Maharaj, I want to follow whatever you say. So the thing is, I have so Maharaj, like we have interest in like to solve the material issues, because like I am in job and I have to give so much time, and still I'm not able to enjoy materially also, and even give time spiritually. So I'm confused what to do. And you also said earlier that Srila Prabhupada always felt that money was less because he would use money in Krishna's service only. So these many ideas are there, and I'm very confused what to do actually.
We cannot solve our material problems with material means. We cannot. It will never work like that. Otherwise, material will have solved all their problems a long time back. We can solve the material problem with spiritual solutions. So whatever difficulties we have, we connect it with Krishna. That is how we get solved. We get it resolved. Taking shelter of Krishna. Do everything according to Krishna's direction. Then we'll get free. All right?
Yes.
So we engage all our activities. Everything we do should connect it with Krishna. Then the solution comes. Workplace, we consider our work as a Krishna's business. Even though is material activity. Yes, you say, I'm doing this thing for Krishna. And whatever we get from there, we use it in serving Krishna. It becomes purified. Then a problem goes on.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
All right?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Chant the holy name attentively.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Because that is the only property, that is the only gain we have in this world. So in addition with everything we do, you take seriously to the chanting of the holy name. And purification comes, realization will come, because illusion will be destroyed. We will plug into the fire of Krishna consciousness. All the impurity will burn off. Then we start to see things very clearly. We have the strength to tolerate, to endure, to be patient. We have enthusiasm. Because now we have the real understanding that, yes, real life is with Krishna, not what the Krishna is illusory energy. So we have a clear understanding. So we work towards that. We have the strength and determination to follow that. Because we know that the end result is really, really great. Nothing can be compared with it. So we put our effort into it. And we have already seen some examples of those who have practiced. So we see their end, it's glorious. So yeah, so we know that our chariots are glorious. Look at Prabhupada, glorious. So we know that, yes, this process is working. So I also end in the same way. Therefore, I should put my effort into it. So we succeed. All right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
𝐿𝐤𝐬, Balaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept our humble obeisances, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
So the most of the part that is already answered in the previous question only, Gurudev. So it's that we can be working 24 hours and still can be Krishna conscious. Is it that possible, Gurudev?
Yes, it is possible. If our conscience is that what we are doing is for Krishna. Even the job we are doing is for Krishna. We are connecting everything. We connect everything because everything about a devotee is offering to Krishna. So what I'm doing is Krishna service, and the proceed, we see in servant of Krishna. So he is Krishna, the devotional service.
Sometimes the work where we are, like the workplace, we are highly the focus is more on our activities and the outcomes that we gain from it. So many times it appears that we are just lost into that, so how in that situation, how we can maintain the consciousness, like
before you resume the work, before resuming the work, we have to prepare ourselves. That means that we must have chanted our rounds nicely. We have read something. We have had something. We have taken our prasadam. So then we are vaccinated. For that, we can face the day. We can face the day. Whatever it is, we'll face the day and not be contaminated. And as soon as we finish that, we'll plug in back into Krishna consciousness. So you'll hear the lectures as we are returning back to home, not getting exhausted and forget everything. No, we plug in back. On the way back to the house, we plug in back by chanting, by hearing. You hear something. You watch the kids and going somewhere. So this is the refreshment. We get all those things that we carry from there. The Holy Name will wash them off. So in this way, we remain pure always. Even though in office, you are going to get absorbed to the thing. And it's necessary, we have to concentrate on what we're doing. We will not be overtaken by that if we are preparing ourselves properly. Before and after we are plugged into Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Gurudev. Thank you so much, Gurudev.
Jayanant Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Referring to the purport of verse 24, Guru Maharaj. I'm reading from the line. So third line. Fourth, in fact, the fourth line. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor and the result are all combined together. Brahman was absolute truth. So in this phrase, Guru Maharaj, there is a consuming agent of such an offering, and then we have the process of consumption. If you would like to shed light on what this consuming agent is, and also on the process of consumption.
Consuming agent means consummation means the end. What is the end, or what we are expecting from relationship? What are we expecting between us and Krishna? What is between what we are doing? What am I expecting? When that is achieved, that is a consummation. So we are serving Lord Krishna with a full understanding, and we are going to get our problem solved. We are going to have our real spiritual union with Krishna. That's a consummation. Does it make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yes. Brahmat, I'm thinking of the verse, of the analogy of the blazing fire, devotional service, which is compared to the blazing fire. Like burn to ourselves all our sinful reaction.
Yes.
So can we apply this with reference to that analogy?
Yes. The process of bhakti is Krishna mentioned that in 11th canto to Uddhava, like a blazing fire. So whatever we offer to the fire, so the item we put into the fire, the person who is adding to the fire, and this process itself, they are all absolute. This is what is happening. All are in absolute nature, because everything is connected with Krishna, and that is where. What's the result? What's the result of that? The consummation. We all get the blessing. We get purified. All right.
Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Gurudev, we have one last question in chat box. Can we take that?
Okay.
So it is a question from Ram Prakash Prabhuji, and he says, so much emphasis has been stressed on hearing. How much time we must expose to hearing during our daily life?
The whole day we should hear. The whole day is for hearing. That is what goes on the whole day. It goes the whole day. Hearing. And Prabhupada said in my Western report, from morning till night, the birds, the student in the school, the lawyers in the law office, everything is about hearing, question and talk and answering. So we should hear the whole day. The ear is meant for that, hearing about Lord Krishna. But for a person who is going to school or going to the office, so that time we are going to listen to what we're supposed to do in office. Okay, that is it. But as soon as that is finished, you come back to hear. If it is not about Krishna, we should not hear. So if you want to go into detail, so we can arrange ourselves how much time we have to hear Krishna for the day, because we have other things to do. So we can have that timetable. On this time to this, I must chant and hear and read or listen to a lecture. Some devotees are doing that. How many times I hear a lecture in a day? How many times you hear the kirtan? how much time we read. So we can have that timetable. It will help us. If you make that and follow it, nice. Proper tool to read 2 hours a day, because it's just a part of hearing. Apart from the lecture we hear in the temple, morning and the evening, on our own we should read 2 hours. And even if we don't have that, whatever time you have, you should arrange and hear something. It's very, very important. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. We are very grateful for everyone for joining today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Shri Bhakti Dhira Damodara Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.